Hi, this is Tim from the Arundell Arms. I'm going to tie this fly here, the WMD Gurgler, which is a superb surface lure for sea trout night fishing. Quite easy to tie, very easy to cast. It's not got the huge bulk and wind resistance of your more normal deer hair patterns, and it's brought an awful lot of success to us on the rivers here of Devon and Cornwall over the last few seasons. So here we go. Right, so first of all we need to make the mount to tie this fly on. I'm going to tie the original, which actually featured a treble hook at the back of the fly, and I put a size 14, this is an owner treble, in the vise. I'm now going to take about 6 to 8 inches of 20 pound, this is black amnesia nylon. I'm going to thread that through the eye of the hook, come round the back of the hook and go back through the eye, so the nylon is looped around the back of that treble there. I can now twist this vise so it's sort of facing me and start to hold the strands of nylon tight and twist them together, holding it tight as you go. This isn't absolutely essential, but it does kind of save time. If we didn't twist this together, then we'd have to whip the base of this nylon to the hook, whereas twisting it like this is a lot neater to start with, but also does hold that hook in place nicely. Once I've got enough twists in there, and that's about 1.5 inches or so, I'm just going to put a couple of overhand knots in these strands of nylon. Stops it coming unwound. And you can see, once I clip off the ends, you can see that it's given me a nice, neat and tidy link there. I'll take that out the vise, put my single in. This is a Camazan B170 in a size 4, and I'm going to tie it with 8/0 black thread and just wind down. Okay, now I'm going to put this link on the vise. I have experimented a lot with having the treble shorter and longer, and I can't say, to be quite honest, that I've found it makes a whole lot of difference. So I'm going to go for the length of the link about the same as the hook shank. To be quite honest with you, I found that most of the fish you'll actually land using this fly will be firmly hooked with this front single, and it might be, I suppose, 1 out of every 5 or 6 fish is actually hooked on the treble hook. As I say, I'm tying the original with the treble hook trailing, but most of the time these days I'll either tie it without a hook, a rear hook at all, or with perhaps an up-eyed single, much like the link that I use in my werewolf fly. Okay, once we've tied that in nicely, back to the good old Loctite. Fairly generous with this without dripping it everywhere. I'm going to work that in with a dubbing needle and give it a good 10 minutes or so to dry. Okay, so once the glue's dried, I'm going to wind down, and we want to take a little bunch of bucktail for the tail of the fly. I want the tips coming just back behind the hook there, the treble. And wind up over the butt ends. Okay, and now, just for show, I'm going to put a bit of flash in with the tail. tied in the middle, and then doubled over and wound over the base. There we go, you can clip that to the right length. Okay, now what I've done is cut a piece of foam. This is about 1/2 inch thick. You can see how I've cut it just tapering at one end, and this is fairly thick foam. It's quite unusual to find. It's kind of 2 to 3 mil thick. Usually you'd find much thinner foam, in which case I'd take a longer strip, tie it in the middle, so we'd actually be using 2 layers of foam. I can get away with just this 1 layer. So I'm going to take the tapered end of it and tie it in just a little bit further back there at the base of the tail of the fly. There we go, it's nice and secure, and then some oval silver tinsel, tie that in and tie up over the butts of it. Okay, and now good old black seal's fur. I reckon I get through about 1.5 seals worth every year, as every sea trout fly that I tie seems to use black seal's fur. Lovely, coarse, straggly dubbing. Makes every fly look great, to be quite honest. Okay, dub that. A little bit more required. And wind all the way up. There's a small Labrador making noises underneath this table. Right, now we can rib that in open turns. And tie it off. Now the last part is a teal hackle, and you can experiment with this fly. You know, you might want to tie it with some rubber legs in there. As I say, it's not often I'll actually tie this with the flying treble these days, so have a play around with it. This is the original pattern, which works very well indeed, I have to say. Okay, so I've tied the hackle in by the tip. Now I'm going to stroke all the fibres back, and this gives us some nice legs on this pattern. Couple of turns will do. Okay, now what I want to do is just drag all of the fibres back down underneath and pull the foam over the top. You can sort of squeeze the sides of the foam so it curls around the shank of the hook, and then tie it in at the very neck. There we go. Now I want to clip the foam top to give me a lip, which is the bit that makes you a nice big wake on the water. There we go. And then I'll do a whip finish underneath the foam around the eye of the hook. The last thing I'll do just to finish the flow is I'm going to turn it upside down and sort of part these fibres here, give us the legs, and I'm going to put a blob of super glue just underneath the eye of the hook there, which should stop the foam wanting to spin around. There we go. That's WMD Gurgler. Great surface lure for sea trout. You can tie them in various sizes. When you've got some school sea trout around, the small fish are sort of 3/4 pound to a pound, you might want to go down a size. But it's been a fantastic fly. It's very easy to cast, much easier than your classic sort of deer hair wake fly patterns, and we've all had a lot of success with it. Thank you.